Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and I'm so glad that you are here today. If this is your first time joining, this podcast is all about helping you achieve balance and fulfillment through the biopsychosocial spiritual health framework. And today we're going to be diving into the inspiration behind the name and the mission of the podcast, which is Proverbs 15:30. So I'm going to share a brief story about how I came upon this Bible verse probably 15 years ago at this point, and give you a little bit of story of how it's applied to my life and then how it has helped inspire kind of the vision for the name and the mission of this podcast as well. So I have to take you back about 15 years ago. I was in high school, I believe, early in high school, and I was volunteering as a camp counselor at a Christian church camp. And I was having it was the type of volunteer experience where I went for like a week or two at a time. And I don't know why. I think most of the time was really wonderful. But on one day, I remember I was walking around and picking up trash to keep the campground clean. And I was just kind of having a bluish day. I wasn't feeling my best. I wasn't feeling great. And I picked up a piece of trash and it happened to have a Bible verse on it. Now, it didn't have the whole verse written out. It was just the scripture, which was Proverbs 15:30. So I was curious, obviously. So I stuck it in my pocket. And I think, after I finished that little shift, I went back to my room and looked it up. This was before we had phones like we have now. We could just look it up right then. So went back to my room and looked it up, and Proverbs 15:30 reads like this: "A cheerful look brings joy to the heart. Good news makes for good health." Now, in the moment, it just felt like the perfect wisdom that I needed for the day, that it just took putting a smile on and continuing to go to keep me excited and in a spirit of giving and helping. And I remember that I really focused on that first part of the verse. A cheerful look brings joy to the heart. Now, I should also mention this is the New Living Translation. And I don't remember if when I looked it up, it was the New Living Translation or the NIV, but I think it was probably this one because I was still using the same Bible, which is the NLT. So anyways, I really focused on that first part of a cheerful look brings joy to the heart, and just putting a smile on my face and being able to be joyful and giving joyfully and serving joyfully. And it really meant a lot to me. So I have held that Bible verse close to me for a very long time. Now, fast forward, I have a career in mental health and wellness, and I have a PhD in medical family therapy. And now I work in a medical setting where I'm often talking to people about their biopsychosocial spiritual health. And I've been really excited to create this podcast for a long time. And when I was thinking about what to call the podcast, it seemed like heart and health just kept coming to mind. And it just seemed like a nice way of combining not only your emotional side of things in your heart and taking care of your heart, but also your physical health and all of the other components of health too. And so combining those two together. And for whatever reason, I looked up Proverbs 15:30 again the other day, and I caught that last bit of it of good news makes for good health. And it just seemed so perfect that it combined both joy to the heart and making for good health together. And I just thought it was absolutely perfect. That is where the name kind of came from or was inspired by. And I just thought that was fun to share. Now, I want to dive into this a little bit deeper so you can have some good reflection and takeaway from this to apply to your own biopsychosocial spiritual health. But I just appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to share that because it was really special to me. So we're going to explore this rich meaning of the verse and how it connects to the 4 pillars or domains of wellness: your biological, psychological, social, and spiritual health. So let's go ahead and jump in. First of all, let's break down this verse. So let's take a moment to reflect on Proverbs 15:30. It is beautifully capturing how joy and positivity influence not just our emotions, but also our overall well-being. A cheerful look brings joy to the heart. This reminds us of the importance of our energy and the expressions on our face and how we are expressing ourselves in our body language and our tone in relationships. So something as simple as a smile or a kind gesture can absolutely brighten up someone's day and our own day too. So it's really, really special to be thinking about how we're engaging not just with ourselves internally, but also outwardly and how that connects with other people around us as well. The second part of that verse, good news makes for good health, speaks to the transformative power of hope and uplifting messages on our physical and emotional well-being. And we know this is true. We know that when people have hopefulness, they are more able to get better, to heal themselves. And I just think that's really an incredible power to think of how amazing it is that our mentality, our intentions can make a difference for us, not just emotionally, but physically as well. So this interconnectedness is what the biopsychosocial spiritual framework is all about. And I think it's just absolutely fabulous that this verse is really able to bring that all together in such a beautiful way. So let's go ahead and connect it to your wellness. Let's break it down even further and see how this verse is related to each dimension of wellness. So for the biological health, we need to understand that positive emotions, like those sparked by a cheerful look or good news, have measurable effects on the body. They can actually lower stress, the cortisol levels in your body. They can boost immunity, and they can even improve your heart health. This is real science, y'all. This is really true. And the body thrives when the mind is uplifted. And the same is true for the opposite. When we're feeling down and we don't have that hopefulness, our bodies ache. We feel tension and tightness. We have heart palpitations and we have just an icky feeling. We get sick more often. Our gut feels nasty. So the same is true in both the positive and the negative emotions. Now, for our psychological health, joy in the heart is a foundation of mental health. Surrounding yourself with positivity, whether it's through uplifting content, gratitude practices, or acts of kindness, can all help reduce anxiety and increase resilience. This is why I remind people that happiness is an emotion that comes and goes, but joy is something that we can choose to have even when things are really hard. Joy is a hopefulness, an understanding that even though it's difficult right now, it will be better or there is purpose behind this. Joy is so powerful and you have to hold on to it even when things are difficult. And there will absolutely, undoubtedly be times in your life when things are difficult, but joy is what keeps us going. Now, this is also why I remind people to limit things in their life like negative news media that's going to make your health not so great. And it's okay to stay informed, but if you're watching something that is negative all the time, that's what's feeding into your mind, and that is going to have an impact on your overall wellness. So again, the same is true of both the positive and the negative psychological health components. Okay. Now let's go into the social health. So relationships are central to this verse as well. A cheerful look highlights the power of connection between two people and how we influence others. So it's good to ask yourself, are your interactions with others bringing joy to the hearts of those around you? And are you seeking relationships that uplift and inspire you? You have an influence on the people around you just as much as they have an influence on you. So I think there's something like, being connected to the 5 people that you're closest to or 7 people that you're closest to, something like that. That is going to have an influence on how you are and who you become. So if you want to be around other people who are positive or joyful, even in the difficult moments, that's going to help your wellness. If you're around people who are negative and pessimistic, that is going to weigh on your soul as well. So it's really important that you are considerate of who you are allowing into your space and allowing to be around you. And also asking yourself, what kind of person are you being? And how are you influencing the people around you? Because they're going to hopefully be thoughtful about who they're allowing into their space as well. And you want to be someone who is welcomed into that space, not someone who is maybe not a great influence in other people's lives. So good to think about socially as well, how we're connecting and how just a look is inspirational. Okay, so now for the spiritual health component. The idea of good news also resonates spiritually, whether it's through faith, hope, or aligning with your purpose, spiritual wellness keeps you grounded and gives you meaning. Now, good news could be anything, right? Could be a little thing like, hey, this meeting got canceled. You have some time to breathe, and that feels so nice. Or it could be good news about a health issue getting resolved, or it could be good news about somebody being pregnant or having a baby or something exciting like that. But good news energizes our soul and it keeps us going and it makes us feel connected to the world and our values and what's going on. So that is good stuff. If you have good news to share with someone, I would encourage you to do that today. All right, so let's bring it all to life together and see how you can actually implement this into your day today. So, how can we take the wisdom of Proverbs 15:30 and apply it to our lives today? Here are a few practical steps that you can actually use. So, the first one is to spread joy intentionally. I want you to look for ways to bring a cheerful look into your interactions, whether it's just through a simple smile, a kind word, or a compliment, or simply being present with others. The second one is to share uplifting news. I want you to think about how you can be a messenger of good news. And maybe that might be sharing some encouragement with a friend, sending a sweet text, or celebrating small wins, or even just starting a gratitude journal for yourself to focus on the positive things that are happening in your life. And the third one is prioritizing connection. Invest in relationships that nourish your soul and bring joy to your heart. So, this might mean building deeper connections with loved ones or stepping into a community where you feel valued, but it is very important to have those connections. Alrighty, that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Proverbs 15:30 reminds us that joy and good news aren't just nice to have, but they're actually vital to our overall wellness. So as you move through this week, I would encourage you to think about how you can embody this verse in your own life, how you can bring a cheerful look to someone's day, how you can seek or share good news that makes for good health. Please remember that joy and good news are not just blessings, they are keys to our overall holistic wellness. And if today's episode resonated with you, please make sure you share it with someone who you think would benefit from it. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you liked it, please leave us a positive review. That is one of the best ways that you can help this new podcast grow. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care. Bye, y'all.